Ciao Juventini, Alberto here. I got all your Juventus news from a beautiful evening celebrating 100 years of Agnelli, the black and white show, all those legends present, Zidane, Davids, Del Piero, Torricelli, Ravanelli. We go to it being overshadowed almost immediately in yet another scandal, this time involving young star boy Fagioli, all right? So Fagioli involved in apparently a gambling scandal. We are going to tackle that. I have a new name for the target list. I have a Conte theory of my own that I'm going to share with all of you. And we've got the latest on Jadon Sancho and Domenico Berardi, all right? So like the video, subscribe to the channel. This is the AJC. Let's rock. I'm going to kick things off giving you the new name on the target list according to Nico Schira, and that is Rayan Cherki of Lyon. Okay, so he is a 20-year-old attacking midfielder slash winger. He has played 501 minutes in the opening 8 matches for Lyon. Doesn't have any contributions there, but he's definitely a promising talent, as with the U19s of France in 3 appearances scoring 2 goals, and with the U21s in 12 appearances scoring 5 goals. All right, and very promising talent. AC Milan also looking at him, and Schira says Juventus has also recently been scouting him. So another one to add to the list. As far as Jadon Sancho and Domenico Berardi go, well, I gave you the news that Mirko Di Natale is so far one of the top 3 credible guys around Juventus. He's saying that it's looking more and more like Juve is going to bolster the midfield. Well, you still have a lot of outlets pushing Jadon Sancho and Domenico Berardi. We saw yesterday Tutto Sport and now Calcio Mercato Web and Tutto Mercato Web are coming up saying that Juve is definitely going to make another push for Berardi in the winter mercato. As far as Jadon Sancho goes, Tutto Mercato Web is jumping on that, saying that Juventus is definitely looking at the potential for the loan, with the majority of the wages being tackled by Manchester United. And in England, there's still heavy reports of Juventus coming in for Jadon Sancho. So far, still waiting for Agresti and Schira to really weigh in on where the move is going to happen. But so far, only Mirko Di Natale out of those big 3. And he says it's going to be the midfield. All we can do is hurry up and wait, everybody. All right. Now, we had a wonderful event yesterday. The 100 years of Agnelli continue to be celebrated. And yesterday we had the black and white show. And of course, the main event was the Legends charity friendly exhibition match, and that was just a great time, a great watching all these guys. To me, took me back to my childhood with Ravanelli, Ferrara, Torricelli, Peruzzi, and then of course De Livio. You got Del Piero, Zidane, Davids, Marchisio. It was fantastic. Okay, fantastic event, great match, and just a lot of feel-good vibes and whatnot. But for the younger fans, a lot of them were reaching out saying, especially in the post-match, they were having all the interviews, and you could just sense and feel what it meant for all of these guys to play at Juventus, and what the club means, and how unique and great this story is of the Agnelli family being linked with Juventus. And breaking that would really ultimately be another move for us losing our soul. And these discussions have happened through the summer, where some of the fans out there say, no, you know what, the only way to compete nowadays is to just take in that money. Bring me that oil money. Let's get going and let's start cooking. But for me, it would be much more to be able to accomplish it while keeping this connection that you could see has meant so much to these guys leading up. It's just a little bit different now, but we have to continue to get back to that, okay? And we also have to get back to finding characters like this, because they were all a different breed, and Juve used to do this better than probably anybody, and that was finding the right characters, the right men to steer the ship. And Simone Pepe said it perfectly in his post-match, saying that Juventus was not just built with the Zidanes, the Del Pieros, the Platinis and whatnot. It was guys like me also that helped write the story, because we carved a spot out for Juve's fans' hearts just by work ethic and giving absolutely everything we had. And he is spot on, because all the guys that flew under the radar that weren't the flashy names were so pivotal for Juventus, and we have to get back to that, the characters, the men. All right, but a beautiful event for me, taking me through just a flood of memories and incredible moments and whatnot. It was beautiful to see. Unfortunately, overshadowed almost immediately by yet another scandal. Okay, another scandal, this time involving Nicolo Fagioli in a betting gambling scandal. So apparently he has been investigated by the Turin prosecution office, and they have found that he does have an account. Whether or not the account is on an illegal platform or not, we have to wait for that news. That could still be settled with just a fine and whatnot. The main issue here is that he is a professional athlete. If he has been betting in on football, then it opens up a whole nother wave of issues. If they can trace it to anything, God forbid, he's not that stupid to bet on something he was actually involved in, involving Juventus and whatnot, then there are major issues. Okay, but again, talking back about the characters that we were celebrating yesterday, this is a major issue. You have had a year where you were a major part of, and this club was put through the ringer, and you don't have the wherewithal up here to not get involved in something like this. This is absolutely inexcusable, okay? You're a professional athlete further on. What, are you not making enough money to get into this gambling thing? Keep clean, all right? Keep clean. This is absolutely ridiculous. Of course, Juve is clean in this one. It won't affect us, but it's yet another player. And again, still the association with Juventus. And we've just gone through the Paul Pogba doping situation, which is still ongoing, which we'll have to wait for. But this is absolutely ridiculous to me, okay, and inexcusable. The stupidity Fagioli has shown here is at an all-time level. Heavens forbid he's not that stupid to bet on actual football, and definitely not anything that he was in part of. But again, going back to the characters, I couldn't imagine a player walking into the locker room with guys like Nedved, Del Piero, and Delivio, whatnot, Davids, trying to explain this. Because, and this is something that I don't think is going to happen with this current team. He should be set aside and definitely have somebody set the tone with him, and then the whole group should be addressed about exactly where the hell their heads are at. You just were at an event yesterday where you saw what it meant to guys that are, to be honest, 10 times the character and player that you are, and you get caught up in nonsense like this. Number one, those guys that are 10 times the character and the players that these guys are talking about what it means to play professional football at Juventus. And now you've got guys like this doing shit like this. I don't think you understand what a privilege is. Number one, that you're a professional football. Number two, that you're able to do that at a club like Juventus. Be better, but who is setting the tone behind the scenes? This is an issue that goes from the top down, and it's about finding the right characters. Yes, when you bolster the squad, you want to look at market opportunities and whatnot, but more than anything, Juve used to be the best at finding the right characters, the right men, and right now we need men to right the ship. Fagioli, you should know much better. And the unfortunate thing in all of this is hearing that this is something he's known about since the end of August, and maybe, just maybe, with this on the back of his mind is why I've been left wanting so much more in terms of his performances and his play. It's probably been weighing him down, and we know how emotional Fagioli is, but this is an absolute brutal issue. And now we have to wait to see, because it all comes down to what he has found gambling on and whatnot. But yeah, there's penalties that could be a year, 2 years, 3 years. There's also just fines that it could come out. It all comes down to what he was betting on. We know that the FA over in England has suspended guys 8 months, 10 months and whatnot, but the FIGC may not necessarily have the same weight on gambling and whatnot, so we have to really wait to see. But this is extremely disappointing, and it pisses me off that it comes out and breaks out in media almost like they would have been hanging on to this for this long right after such a beautiful event like the 100 years of Agnelli. All right, but any way you slice it, this is stupid from Fagioli, and I'm incredibly disappointed in him. Now I'm going to wrap things up by sharing my Conte theory. Of course, yesterday he was a part of that. He will always be a Juventus legend, not just like what he did as a player, as a leader during those years was incredible. And then, of course, you add on what he did leading that huge decade of dominance as a coach. He will always be a Juventus legend. It has nothing to do with when he went to Inter, okay? And I will say this, although I hated it and wished him the worst at Inter or whatnot, he did still at that time wait for Juve and wanted to come back to Juve. And Juve decided on making a different move because of Andrea Agnelli. So for me, Conte will always be a Juventus legend. But my theory with Conte, as he was a part of the event last night, and this kind of squashes this whole theory that there was beef between Juventus and Conte, and we knew before last summer that the relationship was actually fine. We knew halfway through the season before from Romeo Gresti that the relationship is actually fine between Juventus and Conte. Now that could be squashed with last night. But my theory with Conte, and now there's going to be opportunities that come up in Serie A between, we were here in Roma a couple weeks ago, but now Napoli and ADL apparently going to meet up with Conte, but the rumors suggest that Conte is going to stick to his sabbatical. My theory, if he does not take one of these opportunities, especially at Napoli, reigning champions and whatnot with a good roster, if he doesn't take one of these opportunities, then I think my theory is solid, which is that he is waiting for the Juventus position to open up. And I think a lot of things have changed and we won't see the Conte that we saw before. And the reasons are this. Number one, he obviously had the hell scare at Tottenham. Ended up being his gallbladder, had to be surgically removed in an emergency type situation, but it scared him. It scared him and it led him more to his family and more time and everything. And that's why he kind of played up this sabbatical and whatnot for his family. But he is close with his family now. They are all in Turin. His wife has opened up a boutique in Turin. His wife been very vocal about his desire to return to the bench at Juventus. Very vocal about that. Okay, I've got that from multiple sources in Turin. For me, he wants to return and it would be different this time around and the nonsense would be cut out and there is this feeling of unfinished business there with Conte, but my theory is that he is waiting for that position to open up. I know, especially with yesterday, everybody wants Zidane and the return of Zidane come home. I've never seen Zidane as a realistic option for Juventus and I still don't see as that until things change and it's a little more advanced in terms of the project. But Conte makes a lot of sense. And for me, my theory is he's waiting. But you guys know the drill. Today, a wave of news. Unfortunately, yet another scandal. Let me know what you think about the Fagioli situation. Let me know what you thought of the 100 Years and Agnelli Black and White show yesterday with the legends. And let me know what you think about my Conte theory. Can't wait to mix it up with all of you. And I'll be back tomorrow with another update. As always, fino alla fine. Forza Juve. Ciao tutti.